There's a short little homily here in Spanish, if it comes across intelligible, and then I'll preach the rest in English here, but this will give everybody who doesn't speak English a chance to kind of get a sense of what's going on. La parte de este evangelio que siempre ha sido más interesante para mí no es el viento y las olas, ni el miedo de los apóstoles, sino la tranquila indiferencia de Jesús ante el peligro. Él está dormido sobre un cojín en la parte trasera del barco, mientras los apóstoles temen por sus vidas. Esto, sin embargo, no nos sorprende. Él es el Señor de todo lo que existe. Nada puede hacerle daño si Él no lo desea. Y Él, el Señor del cielo y de la tierra, nos cuida como cuidó a sus apóstoles en la barca. Nada nos sucederá el que Él no permita y que no convierta en nuestra bien. Did I say Spanish words correctly there? Okay. Okay. Hopefully that gives those of you who don't speak English a sense of the gospel. So, the most interesting thing for me in this gospel has always been the indifference of Jesus asleep on a cushion, right? How many of you like thunderstorms? The thunder and the lightning. How many do not like thunderstorms, the thunder and the lightning? There's something natural in us that kind of gets apprehensive when nature becomes so big and unpredictable that we can't control it and we don't know what's going to happen. That's scary, right? But that's really just an example, one small example of what our whole life is like. We never really know what our life is going to be like. And we can't control hardly as much as we think we can. Right? We think we're in control of our life. We think things are going great. We think, I've got it figured out. And then boom, somebody we love dies. You get sick. You get laid off from your job. A thunderstorm burns down your house. Right? These things that we can't control. So much of our life is unpredictable. I have a friend who got hit in the head. He was a real smart guy, wonderful musician, everything. Got hit in the head with some tubing that fell off a shelf in one of the home centers. I won't tell you which one because I don't, that's not important, right? And he got this really bad concussion, and now he can't think very well anymore, right? He struggles to keep a job, right? He's got family issues now. His personality has changed, right? He didn't control that. He didn't ask for that, right? And so when we step back and we see how big our life is and we say, oh my gosh, I can't control any of this. We can experience a fear like the apostles felt in the boat here. Something bad is happening. I can't control it. I'm going to try, right? The apostles tried to keep the boat from sinking. They said, we're fishermen, we're sailors, we know how to do this. We're going to pull on the lines, we're going to get the sails up, we're going to get the oars out, we're going to bail all the water out of we're going to solve this. And they tried and couldn't. They just couldn't do it. And finally, they go to find Jesus. They're like, well, maybe Jesus can do something. And what do they find? He's asleep. It looks like he doesn't even care. Now, there's two ways of understanding this. One, he doesn't care about me. Now, that's obviously not true. The apostles said, Jesus, don't you care about us? Don't you care that we're perishing? Of course, Jesus cares about that. But there's another way to say Jesus doesn't care. Right? Jesus doesn't care about the situation. And he doesn't. The wind and waves wouldn't dare sink that boat with Jesus on it. Right? He would just destroy the water and the winds. He's like you gotta remember, man, this is Jesus. He made all this stuff. Right? He's the grand architect in an itty bitty little body. And he came to earth. right? He's in control, total control. And so when the apostles, all scared, they go to Jesus and they're like, Jesus, wake up. Don't you care about us? Don't you care that our life is about to end? Don't you care that we're suffering? Now, Jesus says, of course I care that you're suffering. Stop. And then he goes back to bed. Right? That's it. That's all he had to do. Wind and waves and thunder and lightning and all this stuff happening. The winds, the waves are coming over. The boat's soaked. And Jesus, they finally wake him up and he goes, okay, cut it out. And it stops. How many of you wish you could do that for your kids? Right? It doesn't work, right? You don't have that much control over your children, much less the weather. And here's Jesus, cut it out. Stop it. Be quiet. And it stops. Now, Jesus really didn't care about that situation because he understood who he was. He understood who his apostles were. And he understood what the world and life and death was all about. His apostles did not. That's why Jesus said, didn't you have faith? ¿Dónde están su fe? Did I get it right? See, y'all know Spanish. ¿Dónde está su fe? Está. ¿Dónde está su fe? They had been with him for a while, but they still are discovering what he can do. But Jesus is not a superhero, right? He's not a genie just to be there to do stuff for them. He wants them to understand why it didn't matter. He wants them to understand why it didn't matter that the wind and the waves were battering. He wants them to understand why they didn't have to worry, because Jesus' time had not yet been fulfilled. He came to earth to do that, and nothing's going to stop that. The moon could crash into the earth and Jesus would still say, nope, I'm going there. He was in complete control. And if we say to Jesus, my life is yours. I am here. I love you. I am your servant. I am your slave. I am your friend. I am yours. Everything I have is yours, Jesus. And he says, very well, I accept that. No matter what storm we encounter in our life, we do not need to be afraid. Even if we die, we do not need to be afraid. Because for Jesus, death is no more a problem than the wind and the waves. What's he say to death? Stop it. Cut it out. I win. Can't do anything about it. Because he's in control. But the moment we try to take it back from Jesus, the moment we try to say, Jesus, I gave you all my life, but I want this little piece, or I want this bit back, or I want it all back, all of a sudden we find ourselves in that boat, in that storm, and we can't control it, and we cannot win on our own, and we will lose. Right? When we get to those points in our lives, when things are just chaotic, when things are difficult, that's when we have to remember, I need to go to Jesus because he made all this stuff and he can sort it out. I might not like how he sorts it out. It might cause me pain. I might die because of the way Jesus sorts it out. But when Jesus sorts something out, he sorts it out forever. He's sorting out our salvation. Right? When we go to Jesus and we say to Jesus, I want you to fix my life, that includes us dying. That's always part of the deal. So why are we surprised when we suffer? Why are we surprised when things are difficult? Why are we surprised when we're hungry? Why are we surprised when our car breaks down all the time? Whose car breaks down all the time? My truck is doing some really weird stuff, and it's frustrating the heck out of me, and I just have to remind myself it's no big deal. Right? Why are we surprised when death comes knocking? We know he's coming. For a Christian, we don't care. Because Jesus has sorted it out. And he has fixed that storm so that on the other side of it, we have eternal peace. The safe harbor of heaven, where nothing is outside of God's control and all things have been ordered well for our good. Y'all, this life is a big storm. There's no getting around it. For us, though, we get to, because we're baptized, because Jesus has accepted our life. That's what baptism is, Jesus accepting us as his friend. Because we're baptized, we're in the boat. We're not in the sea. So many people are in the ocean, in the storm. We're in the boat. And who's in the boat with us? Jesus. And can anything sink that boat while Jesus is in it? Is that boat going to get to shore safely? You bet your butt it will. And as long as we stay in the boat in the Catholic Church, we will arrive safely at the ports of heaven.